Sean from Freo, cheers for the broom tip. Oh, yes, sorry. I was trying to work out what that was. I did tip a winner too. The
did you?
SEN Track group
Jeez,
chat.
How did you insert that into this conversation?
Well, I'm just reading the text because people text in.
Oh, I don't know what that
Very
text
interesting
meant.
what you just said.
I am the syndicate king.
What's this text about? Oh, that's right. I gave that tip.
Oh, let's do this.
On Simo and Goss for breakfast, Coach's Call.
I must admit, you did call me out. It was a deliberate ploy by myself. Thanks to Hungry
Oh, really?
Jacks. The all-new Eggs Benny only at Hungry Jacks. And I could do with a coffee this morning. If you're craving something on the fly, it is the Eggs Benny. Let's go back to Thursday night because the fallout was huge and it's only going to be bigger.
Big. I don't think it's... When you play on Thursday and you come all the way to Monday, it feels like it's died off a little bit. It'll be on the shows tonight, will it?
That's exactly right.
We don't have a segment for what's on Monday night shows. Maybe the next sponsor that comes in can sponsor that.
Well, we should have a segment, a sponsored segment for coaches' votes because we're going to do those before the show's out as well.
And coaches' call.
All righty.
And
Hungry
between the
Jacks.
lines.
And statements.
Oh, boy.
And on this day.
And the agenda. Rightio. 50 points was the margin. Port Adelaide, they're probably too little too late for Port, but Carlton is the story.
Yeah, and I think this has been done to death, this game, so we don't need to go over it too much. But the inability to perform in the first quarter, they got ambushed with what Carlton have been really strong at, and that's the contest. And minus, minus 5 around the clearances. The contest was just terrible in the first quarter and a half, and the game was shot really by half time. So I spoke about what you do pre-game when your back's against the wall. Do you actually drop the shoulders a little bit and try and get the guys to relax? And maybe that didn't work if you did do that because they didn't seem to come out, fired up. It was like, let's enjoy and embrace the game, and it was too hot. So disappointing performance overall from the Blues. And what's the fallout going to be this week, Goss? How's it going to end?
Well, okay, so driving in this morning, listening to the other mob in Melbourne, they was talking, Voss will survive this year at least, and then they'll revisit it at the end of the year. And they're all talking about the back of house team. So they're all talking about Brad Lloyd and assistant coaches and the footy staff, and that Graham Wright's going to come in and turn it upside down. This was Brad Lloyd, just briefly in regards to sticking together in this time.
Yeah, pressure. Yeah, it's enormous at the moment, but we need to stick together as a team, as a club. The stronger together message. There's no other way around that, really.
When you had coffee with Graham Wright, was it talking about sticking together?
I didn't have coffee with Graham Wright,
Right,
but I said this on Crunch Time that what they need to do is critical now from a club point of view. It's not just how do you handle the press conference? They need to get together and go, well, how are we going to message this? What's our direction? How honest have they been with the board with where they're at? And only Bossy would know that. But what's the direction for the next 8 weeks? Because they need to get in front of that. And I've been in that spot before where it's like, let's be really clear here. And whether fans like it or not, but the fans aren't happy. And you suspect there's change coming. But whatever they do, they need to be really clear about. That's important.
All righty, move on to what was a cracking game and probably the game of the round, little doubt about that. The Bulldogs were very, very strong in holding off a rampaging Sydney at time whose centre clearance stuff was electrifying at its best. And in the end, it was a 9-point win to the Dogs, led for Marcus Bontempelli in his 250th game.
Yeah, look, it was Sydney's grand final, really. And I think that Coxie's been working on the underbelly of the Sydney Swans. And the underbelly in the last 10 weeks, and I haven't spoken to Horse about this, and don't mention I said it to him because he would get angry. But I think the underbelly was not strong for Sydney. They made grand final, can't deny that, but the contest wasn't a big part of their DNA. And I think Coxie's gone, right, we need to be better in the contest and better defensively. And that's just taken a while to click. And he's had unavailability. So now he's got more players back. Still got some massive holes in the front half and back half, but they were plus 23 contested possessions on the weekend. They kicked 4. Actually, the Bulldogs kicked 4 goals out of the middle, Goss. But the clearances, they were plus 3. They just had more substance. Now, they didn't win, and they're not playing as well as they did last year. But, geez, last year, how many times did they kick 7 goals in a quarter and his talent was just too good? I think what Coxie's is building is more of a solid base in the future. So, good game, great game. Game of the round, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Dean Cox.
I was proud of the boys
still saying that there's still areas of our game we need to work on. The whole way through it, it was an arm wrestle, and the boys fought as hard as they could.
Alrighty. On the flip side of that, the Dogs were fantastic.
Yeah, and Fraser kicking 4 and Bont's 250th, and Bevo's got the ability to get the best out of some of these guys who come out of obscurity. Is that the right word? Pick 40 and above, or a rookie list, or this guy was working in a fish and chip shop, and now he's become an A-grader. Like, he's got the ability to do that. I think he finds talent really well. It doesn't happen all the time, but the top end looks really strong. Darcy's important because Norton was better on the weekend, and I think that's the missing piece. I've watched the Doggies a few weeks ago live, and Norton was all over the shop. But he took 12 marks on the weekend. So, yeah, they're best players. If they play well together, Dale, these guys in the midfield, they're dangerous.
McCartan being laid out didn't help Sydney. When Melican becomes your key back, you don't have McCartan. That didn't help. Interesting, can I just ask you, if people get a chance and you get on social media, have a listen to a 2 minutes, I think it is, and I know it's a little bit same old, but Marcus Bontempelli, if you want to get an idea of his leadership, the way he speaks to his playing group and the way he led, they mic'd him up. It was a gripping 2 minutes.
Right.
Really good.
Great
leader.
A bit self-indulgent, this one. Thinking your junior footy club, I'm going to be, there's a poster of me, Eltham Panthers, but unfortunately Bontempelli's from Eltham Panthers. I'm a few rungs down out of all the junior clubs. So, yeah, he's been a champion. He's clearly in the top 2 or 3 players in the competition.
Little doubt. Melbourne got off to a very slow start. Simon Goodwin wasn't happy.
You sit here with mixed emotions as a senior coach. Like, that first quarter was unacceptable, in terms of our ability to win the ball, our ability to pressure the ball, our ability to get our hands on the ball. And Gold Coast were unbelievable, but we were miles off early in the game, and clearly that was the game.
5 goals, 7 the Gold Coast. Could have been 10 goals easily. In the end, a 19-point win. The Suns didn't run the game out, but too little too late from the Demons.
Important for the Suns. They lost 3 in a row. And Melbourne, I've been through this, Goss, where you got 14 and 15 premiership players in your side, and you go, well, hang on, this is meant to be better than what it is. So this season's done now, Melbourne. And it was a poor start. So what is their ambition for the rest of the year with that much premiership talent on your list still? And they claim to have some good kids coming through, which I think is probably right, but what are we doing with this group right now? And it's the same question I was asking myself a few years ago, when it's like, let's get the band back together and have a tilt, because if they're not having a tilt, then they've got to get the list rebuilt right. So Tassie come in a couple of years, and I think this list is vulnerable in a couple of years' time when those premiership players are actually on the way out. So, disappointing game.
North Melbourne, speaking of disappointing, they were never in
terrible.
it. 85 points was the margin. Hawthorn racked up 150. Alistair Clarkson, he's not going to dig too deep on this.
They've come off a bye, and we've come off a pretty strong campaign. We were away for a couple of weeks and then had the Carlton game last week at the G. So they just look to be covering the ground a hell of a lot better, and so we don't want to dig too deep into it and be too forensic on it. We look at the block of work that's been done over the last 6 or 8 weeks and think that we're making some progress, but they came up against a good side today that played some pretty good footy.
Yeah, maybe. Big week this week, 100-year celebration for North Melbourne, and you'd hope there's a better performance coming for the Bulldogs game, because that was disappointing. And I suspect North supporters would think they're sort of past that, despite what was working against them. They play proactive defence, Goss, which, in football speak, I think I showed some vision a couple of weeks ago when Pink would be playing. It was against Fremantle. We'd play in front of Tracy. And the ball comes straight out at the front of a stoppage, and the defenders are just out of position. So when there's pressure at the stoppage, it works really well, this proactive stuff, because we used to do it. When there's no pressure, you can get really touched up, and I think that's what happened on the weekend. And, big game this week, Thursday night versus the Bulldogs, 100 years. You'd hope that Sheasel's okay. He's got scans on his shoulder. Warlaw's going to be out with concussion. So, and the Hawks, you've got to give credit to Hawthorn. They were brutal with the way they played. I don't know if they're best friends, Mitchell and Clarko. So there's and the game's always seems to be in Tassie as well.
Breaking news if we can, gentlemen. A golfer connected to Western Australia, spent a lot of time in Western Australia playing, I think, Mount Lawley. I stand corrected on that. Someone might be able to reaffirm this. But Aldrich Potgieter, who's a South African-born, played a lot of junior golf through the WA golf system, has won in a 3-player sudden death playoff. I think it was the 5th hole in the end. But he got up to win the Rocket Classic on the PGA Tour, so well done to him. Plenty of high emotion. It was a long
look like the greatest of athletes, does he?
No, looks like he enjoys the celebration, but there it is there. He got the job done. He's only young, and that is huge for him, so that's life-changing for Aldrich Potgieter. Yep, absolutely pumped. So well done to him. Okay, let's go back to Collingwood West Coast, and this was a 29-point win. And for a lot of the night, West Coast were in it. Andrew McWalter probably not happy with some of... we'll get to the umpiring decisions, not that you can do much about it, but not dissimilar to a number of coaches that have coached against Collingwood in recent times. I think Ross Lyon had a bit to say as well. We'll play it. Here's Andrew McWalter on a couple of umpires.
Yeah, there were a few challenging ones tonight that I'm going to look to seek some clarity on because I thought that there were a couple that I just wasn't sure which way they were going to go. So it's a challenging job umpiring this game. It's a really hard job, and we'll just get some clarity from the AFL on some of those decisions and look to train our players once we get there.
So the specific one we were talking about, Ned Long got spun around and held it for a long time, got rid of it eventually, went to Duggan. Duggan then got caught holding the ball really quickly, almost had no prior, but you noticed that he had one arm free or something.
Yeah, there's a rule that's, I don't know whether they're just umpiring it differently or it's just they're more strict on it, but if you've got the ball under your arm and your other arm is free, that is deemed prior. So that's just the way they've been umpiring it. So Long got spun around, got rid of the ball. Duggo held the ball with one hand, his other arm was free. And I don't know if there's a Collingwood conspiracy. I doubt it. I know the coaches code, assistant coaches more than senior coaches, code umpiring decisions because sometimes it's 4 or 5 goals, especially if you're the backline coach and you're coding, a body sport that wasn't or holding the ball that was inside your D50. So, yeah, quite often you seek clarity, and there would have been some things that would have coded. I would have thought.
Do you seek clarity to get a better rub of it next time, or do you seek clarity just to alert the AFL that if this happens to us next time, make sure you umpire the same way?
That's a good point. A good question because the way they treated McGovern was a tactic. So we'd go, "Is this a free kick?" And they go, "Oh yeah, we might have missed that one," or they'd debate and say, "No, we think." Pushed him under the ball at the right time. The ball was within 5 metres, and they defend themselves a lot. And that mainly for me, it was when it was a distinct tactic. And I think whatever happened to Lynch yesterday, there must have been a strategy to play against Lynch. If you play against Darling, you push him under the ball. You play against Norton, you push him under the ball. You play against McGovern, you push him under. So you tag Dacos, you do this. And I think when you're a coach and you see a tactic against one of your players, it's not legal. That's what you get clarity on.
So back to the game. Were you happy? So Brady Hoff was arguably the best midfielder for West Coast. He was very, very good. And they didn't go with a hard tag on Dacos. And they stood next to each other, but it was just normal footy. Did you like that view? Was that more about West Coast saying, we're just going to play our way and not going to stress too much?
No, because I think their way's been tagging. So he's been playing on LDU. He's been playing on the best mids. Now, whether they call it tagging or not, I'm not quite sure. So I thought from a coaching point of view, he's had a good month. Yeah, I think he's settled the team down a little bit with some positional stuff. But whether it was a plan or not, but the way they attacked Collingwood was really we're not playing this game to lose by 10 goals. We're playing to win. And to do that, we think we're not going to run with Dacos because I think I would have. I think we said, Hoff, you've been doing. I don't think Hoff's been beaten this year. So I would have gone, go just take him out and go, you can play. If he goes forward, you go back. So he's gone, no. We'll just play him on his merits. And, Hoff's had 10 touches in the first quarter. Now, he's not as damaging as Dacos. And in the end, they didn't win. But I thought the strategic moves they made were good ones.
Harry Edwards was good again?
He was, yeah. And this concussion stuff, it's confusing for me. You get knocked in the head. And then the play can continue, and the doctors are standing there on the sidelines, and it happened yesterday as well. I think they'll end up bringing something in. The second someone's been knocked in the head, they stop the game, he comes off the ground, and he can come back on when he's ready. Not, let's just wait and for the doctor to stop the game 2 minutes later. Makes no sense. Or the doctor runs out and gets the wave off And I think that will change sooner or later.
Yeah, Harry Edwards was clearly saying, I'm okay. He ended up going to do the HIA test, but we saw with Marcus Windhager, he came off yesterday for St Kilda eventually, waved him away, said it wasn't my head, it was hip. Hip. But he goes off, and he's no way he did the HIA because he was only off the ground for 2 minutes.
You don't have to do the HIA, but just you come off the ground and the doctor goes, right, talk to me, look me in the eyes, tell me what day it is, da-da-da-da-da. Yep, no, you're good, get back on. Not chase him around the ground while the play's going.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense to me. But I think Harry's had a great game. It was his 50th down in Bunbury, then had a stinker, and now he's played another good one. So he's really important for their back six because he's finding a good balance now between marking and spoiling, which sometimes been questionable. So who have they got next week? The Giants.
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, that's a big game for the Giants.
Winnable.
Like I said before, I think every game that West Coast play now they're competitive. That's winnable.
68 points, Adelaide. We didn't see a lot of this because we were working and it overlapped with ours, but they were never in any doubt, the Crows. And, well, they're the real deal. They're third on the ladder right now, and Richmond look a tired bunch.
Yeah, well, they had 32 shots, won by 70 points. Clearances. Richmond won the clearances, so it was a turnover demolition. They've kicked 4 goals to 12 goals. It's 12 goals, 10 from turnover games. So, they've had 29 forward half turnovers, Adelaide. So they're 5 years into their rebuild. So you could sort of see this coming. So what Dean's doing in Sydney, now I know they're coming off a grand final, but that's what Nick's has done. He starts with the contest, defence, pressure, and then build your talent, build your system around that. So interesting to see these teams that develop now, like St Kilda at the moment, they're getting coached well. Well done for Ross for coaching a good game the other night. But I don't know what the system is outside of it was a real competitive one-on-one game last night. So Nix has had a distinct plan from beginning, and they look like they're ready to jump really from not finals to top 4, which is a big jump. Big jump.
A couple of things. Our mate Chris Klafunas, our producer to the Stars, wasn't available for the footy last night because Peter Vlahos wasn't available for the footy and all the World game. He was down the road. I don't know if you were driving home last night. You see the lights on at HBF?
I did.
Matildas were playing Slovenia. Chris Klafunas made his... Is it your commentary debut? For SEN it is. Commentary debut for SEN. For those who tuned in, have a listen to eat your heart out, Dennis Committee. This was elite areas. Have a listen.
Who once again has runners on the right-hand side, tries to put the ball through to Carpenter and does. Carpenter with the ball in, and it's Heyman into the back of the net. Michelle Heyman, the veteran, the superstar, latches onto that one and sends it into the bottom left-hand corner. And 4 minutes into this second half,
Pretty good.
The Matildas,
Yep.
a well-deserved goal.
Yeah, nice work. And we go to the break with Rowan Marshall's Goal of the Year contender last night at Optus Stadium.
But good defence from Fremantle.
4-4 to 3-6. Oh, hacked out of the air. That's Goal of the Year right there. The big fella, Rowan Marshall, has hacked out a ruck contest goal. We're doing the coach's call thanks to Hungry Jack's. Craving something fancy on the fly, then they've got you covered at Hungry Jack's with the brand new Eggs Benny. The game we saw last night was a 12-point win to Fremantle. They're down by 14 after Higgins kicked the first goal of the last quarter. They needed something special and they showed maturity.
They did, yeah. Just to compare the pair. 3/4 time, they're minus 23 at clearances, and that's their biggest strength. But 10 shots to 4 from stoppages, and minus 24 at contested possessions. So that's a conversation for another time about what St Kilda do to Fremantle. It's not for another time. We've got now. They did this. This is twice now it's happened, and it's a strategy that's worked. And I don't know why other teams don't look at it when they play Fremantle. I think they will now. It's a pattern because at 3/4 time, obviously JL had a decision to make, and I think he went with let's put it on our mids and let's back in what we've been doing. The 2 rucks worked. I think we can drop that conversation now because it's just part of what they do. And whether it works or not, he's going to live and die by it. So horses for courses I think he might mention in his press conference. It's not drop or keep. It's like, do we play Darcy ruck or Jackson forward? Do we play Jackson on ball? Do you play Darcy forward, Jackson? That's the options, and we've done it before at West Coast with 2 rucks playing in and 2 talented players. Get them in the side because that last quarter, they kicked 3 out of the 4 goals in the last quarter. And
4 of the last 5 of the game.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen every week. And there'll be a day where it's like, oh, this is not working, but it's just what they do. And I think he's a system-based coach, and that's what those games are for. Versus let's coach our way to a win. Versus let's be consistent at what we do. So when it gets to this time in a final, we're not reinventing the wheel. So I thought it was a mature performance.
It certainly was.
Sorry, last quarter. Just to tell you what happened in the last quarter, it was +8 clearances, +16 contested possessions, 6 shots at goal from stoppages.
Did that come from a fatiguing Marshall?
Absolutely, yeah, and it come from a consistent approach to your method. So they got beaten around the ball, but eventually they stood up.
I want to give a round of applause thanks to Nutrimate. Get some Nutrimate into your furry, mate. Hi to the team at Nutrimate. To the fans that showed up, 41,700. Early doors, I was worried about the crowd.
I don't know why you're worried. I thought it was looking okay. Don't you normally look at the top and you go, okay, if there's people at the top, it's going to be okay?
Yeah, 41,700. There were 47,000 the night before for the rugby, which is huge.
I didn't even know it was on.
British and Irish Lions, you need to get out more. And there was a big crowd at the Matildas against Slovenia as well. But
I knew that was on.
Yeah, a lot were there for the debut performance of the debutant. I'm debuting
this weekend.
Well done, Chris Clafounis. For a shiny coat and healthy gums, teeth and gums, get some Nutrimate into your furry, mate. Congratulations, Freo fans.
Back over the 2 ruck stuff that went really hard at it and really hard at JL earlier in the year about it. Is anyone going to go, I got that wrong?
No.
Does that happen?
No, it doesn't. Between the lines.
On Simo and Goss for breakfast.
I wonder
Between the lines.
I wonder what Kingy and Kane called this subject. Red-headed soup. This was a good... Look, we're going to look at Ross. He had one of his better press conferences yesterday. A few one-liners. You can pick 50 of them. But I want to talk about the football part in regards to what they did to Fremantle's mids.
What made you confident that they could play without a lockdown?
They did it last time. Windhager played on the wing last time. Garcia played, McRae played, and Steele played. I don't know, maybe it's just sometimes you match up with pretty well and Rowe. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just the circadian rhythm of Saints versus Dockers. They just, I don't know. I can't explain it a little bit, but yeah, I think that's a simple explanation. They go and compete pretty well.
So I can explain it a little bit, and what I saw last time they played, they did again on the weekend, and they simply got in front of the Fremantle mid. So Sarong is normally first access from a ruckman, and they just get between them, and then they hand over when they need to. So tagging, when you tag and you get caught chasing a mid around the packs, around the stoppages, but when you're accountable and you happily hand over to a situation where they try and confuse you, they did it really well in round 8, and on the weekend they did the same thing. So they were first to the ball, first access. Fremantle's mids couldn't push them underneath the ruck situation because the hit-outs, Goss, were 90% to Fremantle, so did a great job. Couldn't do it for 4 quarters, though, and that was the difference between this game and the last one. So that's what he didn't want to say.
Circadian rhythm, for those asking, is the body's natural internal process that regulates the sleep-wake cycle and repeats roughly every 24 hours. I never knew that. That's what it is.
I did not know that, but that is really cool.
Yeah, but what I'm surprised at, I'm surprised that not every team doesn't do that, because and that's why Fife, I thought, needed to get into the game, because the one criticism you could give Fremantle's mids without Young is they're not big. Erasmus is the same.
We open the show. Sorry, Duff. We open the show. Is Nat Fife in trouble now? Officially in trouble now?
Yeah, it's a massive concern. I mean, if you tweak a calf warming up, then that tells you what state your soft tissues are in, particularly the calf, which is the old man's injury. So, yeah, I think it's a big concern. If they scan that and there's damage and it's not just he got jumpy, then he's in trouble.
This is Ross Lyon at the end of the press conference last night. Just please note, he's on the way out the door.
Was that when we were out and flowing? No, that's when the Dockers player was down and we were out and flowing, and the game got stopped when the ball was ahead. Yeah, okay. No, that's a different one. Yeah. Look, to be honest, I think it's a really good question. It's probably I mean, I can find trouble with the best of them, right? So I'm a bit uninformed by the whole situation. If that's the principle and that was adhered to, well, then it's the right call.
I feel the same about Tracy. I know you were out at that point, the Tracy one.
Oh, were we?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
It is an issue because there is no way that game should have been stopped. And no way should St Kilda have been punished. They were out. They had the ball, and then they come up and ball it up.
This is when Tracy went down?
Correct.
But hang on. So Lockie Schultz is injured against that was against Fremantle as well.
Yes.
And the umpires are criticised for not stopping the game.
One's concussion.
Yeah,
It's just another injury.
Tracy was lying prone on the ground.
He wasn't moving.
So,
but it should have just been a free kick to St Kilda. They had possession of the ball. All right, sorry, we're going to have to stop this because someone's not moving on the ground. Don't you think?
You can't have it both ways. The umpires get potted for not stopping the game, then they get potted for stopping the game. The guy's laying prone on the ground.
We are stopping games. Okay, that might be a very ordinary example, but we are stopping the game for players who are limping off the ground. Whatever happened to just getting off the ground and you play around them, the trainers are there.
Health and safety, mate. That's just the way it is.
The game's
What I don't get is the
concussion. I do.
If the ball's in dispute, then you have a ball up. If a team has the ball, they get the ball back. That's the piece. Is Voss in trouble for that slant for the?
I didn't think his head hit the ground. I mean, it's a dangerous action.
So the head has to hit the ground.
Well, I reckon the head not hitting the ground will help.
There were two involving Windhager. There was the one earlier
with Bolton.
Yeah,
I reckon he threw his head into the ground. That one.
You do. I think Steele Sidebottom threw his head into the ground in the game against West Coast as well in an early tackle with Brockman. I think Brockman got a goal from it.
Got half scalped himself.
Scalped himself.
You know what players are doing now when they get hit in the head? They know they better not act like they're been hit in the head, and there's a distinct. I'm fine. And
so do you think Windhager's reaction was, I might have overcooked it, but I don't want to come off?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then sometimes they do get hit in the head, and that's why they just got to stop the game and send them off, especially if you do it, you instigate it. Okay, if you're going to instigate it, you go off for a few minutes and get checked out. So, yep, there's some things that are changing across the board of the AFL, which, like it or not, it's going to happen.
I heard you talk about the wildcard route.
He did.
Do you like it?
I think it's inevitable, yeah. I think there's...
No, that's not asked. Do you like it?
I do, yeah, without thinking too much about it. But right now there'd be another 6 teams in the hunt. And people talk about... I heard this conversation on the radio the other day about,
rewarding mediocrity.
No, the opposite. They should just be playing for the fans and teams. And you want to play for finals. You want to play to win. So if there's a chance that we can still make the wild card round, why wouldn't you? You don't like it?
I don't mind it. But I'm just interesting how it becomes inevitable. 7v10, 8v9. That's how it'll go.
Well, if there's 20 teams in the comp, Duff, you can't have 12 teams that can't make finals.
Dead.
Just want to play this. This was Jordan Clark. We're going to go to break shortly. I just want to know if anyone knows anything what this is all about. Jordan Clark talking about Luke Jackson.
Dogger sort of had a tough week. I hope he doesn't mind me saying he had a bit of a tough week. And at half time, it was a real battle to try and get him going. He was a bit flat. And, I think that's just what the club's about at the moment. We love bringing blokes in and supporting them through whatever they're going through and let them just play footy. And, I credit to him. The second half was phenomenal. You can tell by.
So this is not dissimilar to Simon Goodwin saying, "I hope you don't mind me talking about this, Max Gorn, but he's had a bit to deal with." It's one of those things that you think you're saying the right thing and doing the right thing, but all you're doing is now getting everyone going, "Ooh, what's going on?" So everyone's going to be probing for that. You know anything?
No.
Know anything, Simo?
Not interested.
Sounds personal.
Yeah. Not very interesting what you just said.
Just repeating what you got coming up after 8 o'clock.
Talk to Scotty Waters again about both games, and we'll talk to Craig O'Donoghue about some umpiring and tribunal, obviously Tom Lynch being the tribunal. And I'm going to suggest the Tigers retire Tom Lynch.
He didn't sign a contract?
I thought he had one. I thought he signed a 1 year deal during the week.
We've been a bit wrong though, last 24 hours.
Yeah, we did. We thought it was a 7-point game. Give Duff a call on the ACDC Power Up Tour open line 13 12 55 is the number.